Today will be a day to remember for the rest of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is excited to present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program connected by Extreme Networks. With over 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 47 states and countries all over the world, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans important life values like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty.
You have to make right decisions even when nobody's watching you.
Well, respect is not just given out. It's not handed out like a brochure. It's earned.
Today, you are presented with an opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more important than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. They didn't roll out the bed great. They put the work in, on the field, in the weight room, in the classroom, in their communities. They made themselves a Hall of Famer on and off the field.
Your feet can't take you where your mind's never been.
Because you can make it, but it's just gonna take a little hard work and some effort and the drive and determination.
And today, you will learn you can do the same thing they did. You don't have to have a gold jacket or a bronze bust to make a difference in the lives of others. It's your decision whether you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
If attitudes are contagious, is your attitude worth catching?
It's integrity as well, because when you decide to pursue something and you don't quit, that says a lot about you.
Commitment to excellence. We can all aspire to be the best.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer program, connected by Extreme Networks.
Begin with the end in mind. Here's what I want to do. We're in a stadium, and I've talked for over 20 minutes. We're going to go into the commercial, but I want to go into commercial with a shout because we're in a stadium. Here's what I want on my left side. When I say shout, I want everybody over here to shout, begin with the end in mind. Everybody on this side, I want you to shout, die empty. See, Hall of Famers, we die empty. See, we left it on the field. I don't want to play anymore. To the current players, it's your turn. Your career right now is like wet cement. My cement is already dry, so are ours. We put our handprints in it. It's your turn, it's wet. You do what you're supposed to do because God has given you a blessing. My one life assignment is to help people go to the grave empty. So this side and Hall of Famers, when I say go to the grave empty, so this side, begin with the end in mind. Hall of Famers and this side, die empty. Y'all ready? I say, are you ready? This side, begin with the end in mind. Say it. Hall of Famers and this side, I can't hear you. Hall of Famers, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. God bless you guys. Love you. Thank you.
All righty. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Welcome to Canton, Ohio. We're so excited to have you guys here with us for the latest installment of our Heart of a Hall of Famer series connected by Extreme Networks. Here at the Hall of Fame, we have a mission statement. It says to honor the greatest of the game, to preserve the history of this game, to promote the values that this game teaches, and to celebrate excellence together. And I really believe we're going to be able to do that together this morning. And the values that we talk about, and we're going to talk about a lot of these today, are things like commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and honesty. My name is Nathan Martin. I'm the communications coordinator here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And before we bring our special guest up, who you guys just saw introed in our video, and you see his face all around the room, a couple of thank yous that we need to make this morning. First and foremost, we need to thank Extreme Networks. They're great partners with us here at the Hall. Without them, we couldn't do this program. We couldn't bring in 300 students to hear from one of the greatest of the game. So thank you to Extreme and their belief in this program. We also want to thank the teachers, the administrators that see the value in this, that have said, hey, we'll bring students, bring them out of school, bring them here to the Hall of Fame so they can hear this message today. So thank you to our teachers and our administrators. And last but not least, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys, the students, because without you guys, this program doesn't really go. You guys are the motor to this program. You guys are what makes this program kind of have its heartbeat, and we need you guys to participate. We've got some students already selected that are going to ask questions, but if you think of one, you're like, man, I got to ask this question, find a Hall of Fame staff member. They'll get you to the right spot, and hopefully we'll be able to make that question a part of the program. You know, we've got schools from all over the place here. Like my list of schools here. We got Rittman High School, Marlington High School, Garfield CLC, Malvern High School, Coventry Middle School, John Hay High School, Copley High School, Yeshiva High School from Cleveland, and Shaw High School. Yeah, go ahead, be excited, be here. Like I said, you know, throughout the program, it's going to be a lot of question and answer. We're going to get to hear from Aeneas, get some advice from Aeneas. So when we cue that up, students that are already prepared, go ahead, step up to the microphone, say your name, your school, give some love to your school, and then follow up there with your question. Last thing, if you do take any pictures, you take any video, and you post it on your social media, go ahead and tag us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It's at Pro Football HOF, hashtag HOF values. We'll do our best to share that. But enough of me. You guys want to meet Mr. Williams, and with that, I'm excited to welcome our special guest. This man had 55 career interceptions. He scored 9 career touchdowns. He was a 5-time All-Pro, an 8-time Pro Bowler, played in the league for 14 seasons, and he's a part of the class of 2014. Let's give a warm welcome to Hall of Famer, Mr. Aeneas Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Aeneas, how's it feel to be back in Canton?
Well, one is too quiet. What is this, church? Come on, what's happening? Good morning. Good morning. Yes. It feels great to be back in Canton, even greater being with the youth. You know, you guys give me energy. And the energy is in the room. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Nathan. And thank you for being here in my second home. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're super excited to have you here. I know the students are excited here to hear from you. And I'm going to start with a heavy hitter, right? You were asking me, what's this little pen that you're wearing this morning? Mm-hmm. And I was explaining to Aeneas, and maybe you guys saw it, we have this brand new character exhibit that highlights some moments throughout football history where there's just been amazing character shown, these character traits, these values. And Aeneas, I want to ask you, what is good character to you? What does that mean to you?
Well, one, I would like to, when I'm talking about character, I want to connect integrity with it, because they're totally different. Think of character as who people say you are. And all of us like to present in front of people. I grew up in New Orleans, and anybody ever heard of Lil Wayne? Yeah. So we all grew up in the same area. And going back to character, and character, remember, is what people say about you. Integrity is who you really are. Character is what people say about you, right? So do you know I'd never ever said a curse word around my parents, but I did curse. And so my parents, if you would ask them, they'd say, Aeneas doesn't curse. I didn't curse around them. Y'all got it? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Right? Yeah. So the character part, it is important, certainly, that people speak well of you. But the most important part I want to add to that is develop your personal integrity, because that's the person who you really are and the person you're going to be most proud of.
Yeah, integrity is all about who you are when people aren't watching.
Correct.
You know, when your parents aren't watching you, or you're doing the things that they think you're doing. So I like how you broke that down for our students. You know, I want to ask you, you know, Aeneas, you know, in the speech that the students just got to hear a piece of, you got the whole stadium going, you know, begin with the end in mind. Can you kind of break that down? What were you trying to get across to that audience that day, and hopefully to our students today? Begin with the end in mind.
Wow. The first thing I want to say is how excited I am to be in a room with you guys. And I know in terms of attention span and the phones and all those things, which are amazing, I want to say to each and every one of you all, when I was sitting in a chair like you, listening to people speak, I had no clue that I can be great at anything. Actually, I don't know if you guys know, but I walked on the football team a week before the season started my junior year in college. and my parents never pushed me to do anything. I would like, I know you asked me this question, but it's real on my heart to do something, because at your age, your greatest challenge is going to be loving and knowing who you are. That's going to be your greatest challenge, because it's so much like being like everybody else. But one of the things, I would like each of you all to take a moment and look at the people next to you, and then after you look at them, I'll tell you something in a second. Would you do that for me? Look at the person next to you. Now, real quick, I have a question for you. Is there anybody that looks just like you? I am fascinated that God still makes different looking people. And there are over 8 billion people on planet Earth. And I'm saying this to say this. I got teased when I was your age. I got teased that I had big feet, big nose, and I had a dip in my head. I think it grew out. But I was teased. And I didn't know later on, here's another thing, I hated my name. Like, you would hate it too if people mistakenly call you Aeneas. Y'all know what Aeneas is, right? Yeah.
I think they know.
Yeah, I think they know. So I hated my name. I had no idea that later, I don't know, maybe 20 to 100 mothers have named their children after me. And then I found out what my name meant, and it meant praiseworthy. I said all of that to say is because if I can leave you with one thing, in spite of everything that we say, please get to know yourself and make sure you love yourself. I'll say it over and over again, because I know during this time, your age, it's the challenge to be like everybody else. But I'm telling you, your value is in your difference. Your value is in your difference. And I celebrate you, and I'm so honored to be here with all these unique Hall of Fame potential young people.
Well, I'm sure we could chop it up for the next 45 minutes, but we want to include the students. So at this time, let's get our first student to go ahead, stand up, make your way over to the microphone. Again, we want to hear your name, where you go to school, and then go ahead and ask your question for Aeneas.
I'm Allison Stewart. I'm from Redmond, and my question is, how important is it to you to have a support group around you during a rough patch?
Give me your name again.
Allison Stewart.
Can everybody say hi, Allison? Hi, Allison. Y'all know how cool it is to hear your name called, right? Pretty cool. And to have a team around me is that kind of
support group.
A support group.
When things are going hard,
It's
patch.
It's huge. You guys know we get in a huddle after every play just about, right? Y'all know why we get in a huddle? To get with our support group. Because we may have had a bad play, but when you get in that huddle, all of your teammates are around. And even if you're the player that had the bad play and everybody else played well, you feel even better because you're back in the huddle. And just like when in life, I have mentors. My dad just passed away about 2 years ago. 2 older brothers, friends. The support group is everything, because there are going to be days, trust me, and you may have already experienced it, that you're not going to have a good day. And if you can have somebody that can say, hey, Aeneas, how you doing, man? It really helped me get past bad plays and bad decisions that I've made in my life, and parlay that into helping me make great decisions.
So thanks, Allison, for that question. And, you know, hearing you talk about that and the bad plays that happened, you played DB, right? And you might be locking a dude down for 50, 60 plays, but that one play, he gets by you, and that's the one that people are going to remember. They're not going to remember that you locked him down for 60,
Right.
but they're going to remember if you give up a touchdown, which didn't happen often.
Correct.
But
right.
on occasion, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? So how did you deal with that, the stress that comes with that? Like, I have to be great. I have to be detailed on every single play, because if I make one mistake, that's all they're going to remember. They're not going to remember that I was doing my job on the other ones.
Yeah. You brought up when you have a bad play, people remember it. But I want to encourage you, it's not so much what people remember, it's what you choose to remember. I choose to have selective amnesia. What does that mean? The next play, if they caught a touchdown on them and I go back out on the field, I still got to have to go back out there. And I have to choose to forget, learn from that last play, but choose to decide I don't even remember. Like, they're Hall of Famers, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, and they scored touchdowns on me. And when they come up joking with me and they say, hey, you remember when I scored a touchdown? I always say, I don't remember. I don't remember. Yeah, I choose to remember. So one of the greatest things that you can do, you can choose to have selective amnesia. You get to decide what you're going to remember. You should learn from your mistakes, but you should live in them. And sometimes it's very difficult to overcome and forgive yourself. And I want to give you permission that you're going to jack it up sometimes and you may not have the best play. But I want you to forgive yourself and go out as I did every new play to dominate it. The next play, you're going to dominate it. I don't care how the last play went. That's your mindset.
That really reminds me of what one of your Hall of Fame brothers was preaching to everyone they saw during their residency program here recently, Morton Anderson. And he just kept saying, it's important to fail forward. Fail forward. We're all going to make mistakes in life, but it's how you respond, what you choose to remember, learn from those. But, let's get to another student here up at the microphone. Let's get a question from them. Again, name, the school you go to, and then your question for Aeneas.
Hold up. Is that a Tom Brady jersey?
Of course.
Tom Brady won his first Super Bowl against us, the Rams, and you allowed this student to come out here? I'm just joking. Go on.
My name's Hudson Abel. I go to Copley High School, and I'd like to know who influenced you the most in your life, and how or why did that person do it?
Say your name one more time.
Hudson Abel.
Hudson Abel?
Hudson Abel.
Hudson Abel?
Hudson.
Hudson. Can everybody say hello to Hudson? Yeah. So Hudson, I was very fortunate. I didn't have to look outside my house for a role model. I had my dad and mom and my two older brothers. They were amazing. And I got to be just a guy that followed them. And it was such a blessing in my life. So those were my role models. After that, anytime when I started, I wanted to be great at professional football. I wanted to be a great cornerback. So one of the things I did when I was my first year in the league, I called up guys that were already in the Hall of Fame who played my position. And I found out their phone numbers, and they didn't have the cell phones back then. So I called their teams to find out their home phone numbers, and I'd call those guys who were in the Hall of Fame, played my position, didn't know me from anybody, and I'm calling them up saying, hey, this is Aeneas, and I know you're a Hall of Fame cornerback. I would like to, one of them I actually paid my own money to go down and work out with them. And then the others I spoke to on the phone, I asked them, I said, how do I think as a great cornerback? What should my mindset be? And one of the things they taught me was to have some selective amnesia. Once again, for being able to forget bad plays, learn from them, and then go on and live your life as if you've never made a bad play. Great question. Thank you, Tom Brady.
So Hudson got me thinking, you played against a lot of great players. Played against Tom Brady. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
Were there certain quarterbacks that you felt like, I got to do some extra preparation to be ready for these guys that come Sunday?
Yeah, all the great ones. One of the things about Tom Brady that probably you may not connect with Tom, it's the humility. And what I mean by that, a lot of quarterbacks that are even in the Hall of Fame, they're great quarterbacks, but they love their teams winning as long as they played great and had a lot of stats. Tom Brady's the type of quarterback that, to him, he doesn't care what kind of stats he has. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's what being on the team is all about. So in the Super Bowl, going into the Super Bowl, we were hot. The Rams, our defense. The game before that, I had the game-winning interception against Philadelphia. That was the game before we went to the Super Bowl. And then in the divisional game, I intercepted Brett Favre twice and ran him back 2 touchdowns. So guess what happened in the Super Bowl? Tom Brady only threw 1 ball my way. That was the game plan. Do not throw the ball toward Aeneas. Throw toward everybody else to give the team an opportunity. Well, some guys that were great quarterbacks, if they had egos, they would say to their coaches, no, I'm going to throw at that guy. I'm not intimidated by him. But Tom was, as I said, he was humble, and he was willing to do whatever Bill Belichick decided was the game plan. He was going to stick to it. So sometimes I say to you, sometimes the game plan in your life may require that you're not always the person that shines, but you're excited about the person next to you shining, because if they shine, it's going to cause all of us to shine.
I love how you related that back for them.
Yeah.
Made it make sense. Let's get another student here up to the microphone for a question. Again, name, where you go to school, and then your question for Aeneas.
My name is Lucas Tilsch, and I go to Copley High School. And my question is, what was it like playing with that great 2000s Rams offense, and how did seeing them every day in practice make you a better player?
Give me that name again.
I didn't catch it. What's your name, man?
Lucas Tilsch.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Everybody say, hello, Lucas. Man, playing against what they still call today the greatest show on turf. I would say, and there's a theme around here, excellence. And what I saw with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Isaac Holt, Ricky Prohl, was perfection. And they were constantly practicing with excellence. For all the sports people, and it really not just sports, anybody in life, we always practice as if the practice was the game. I'll say it again. We always practice as if practice was the game. And you know what people always say, what was it like playing in front of all those millions of people in the Super Bowl? I always tell them, it was just like practice. And if you learn to practice every day exactly how you want to perform, then when it's time to perform, you won't be worrying about practice.
I think that's so relatable for our students too, even if they don't play sports. If you're in the band, if the way that you practice your instrument is the way that you want to perform it when you get that show, then you're not worried about it. You don't have the nerves when it comes time to perform. If you want to do well on a test, then the days leading up to the test and the quit, like, you got to be locked in class so that you have the information to go perform on that test. It's so relatable for our students. You mentioned the humility of some of the great quarterbacks that you've been around, and Tom Brady in particular, but I mean, you had a lot of success. We read the stats before you came in here. I think it was 5 All-Pros, 8 Pro Bowls. How did you personally remain humble even with all the success that you experienced throughout your career?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, there's a proverb that says, and I gave my life to Jesus Christ my junior year in college, and I learned principles in the Bible, and one of them is, let somebody else praise you instead of your own lips. So one of the things I learned is, it's for other people. Like, I played for the Arizona Cardinals my first 10 years. Get this, I only had one winning season. 1 out of 10. We were pretty bad. And then I got traded to the Rams for a second and a fourth round draft pick, and I played 4 years. But what I learned from that experience is how important humility is, and how important it is when you play on a losing team for 10 years. You may not know this, but a lot of guys are not in the Hall of Fame, not because they're not Hall of Famers, but they were on losing teams. If you go back and do the research, you'll find that a lot of the Hall of Famers were on winning teams. So to be able to get into Hall of Fame, being the predominant amount of my years were with the bad team, it was because understanding that just because your team is bad don't mean you have to be bad. Just because your school is not so good don't mean you don't have to be so good. So sometimes in life you're going to have to overcome a bad team. Maybe you're dealing with things in your family. Don't allow your family or your current family situation to be your lid. And I just want to encourage you with that, because sometimes you don't choose your family. You don't choose the situations that you're in. But you can choose how you're going to respond to the situations you're in. And I say that because I don't know who's in what conditions are your families. But don't allow your family to be your lid. You learn from whatever negative is happening in your family, you learn from it, and then you become the very opposite. And you change your family dynamics as you get older. Great question.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
You know, we get to choose how we respond. Don't always get to choose the circumstances. Let's get another student up there to the microphone with a question.
These are great questions, by the way.
Name, where you go to school, and then your question for Aeneas.
Hi, my name is Olivia Goodwin, and I go to Coventry Middle School, and my question was, when adversity struck, where did you go to regain your confidence?
I heard the question, but I didn't get your name.
Olivia Goodwin.
Did you say Olivia? Can everybody say hello, Olivia? Olivia? And you said, where did I get my confidence?
Where did you go when adversity struck? Where did you go to regain that confidence?
My confidence. How about this? I'm going to give y'all a game. Y'all ready for the game? Here's the game. I'm talking about life. You have to have, I want to encourage you to have great self-talk. Like I talk to myself. Like when I finish this, I'll say to myself, hey, good job, Aeneas. You blessed so many young students, and they're never going to forget some of the things you said. So a lot of it, yes, it came from other people, but one of the greatest things is when I learned to encourage myself. When I learned to say, hey, good play, Aeneas. When I learned to say, hey, you did that interview well. Sometimes we encourage and we celebrate everybody else, all the celebrities, all the athletes, but I won't celebrate you. I am literally, and I'm not joking about this, I am so excited to be in this room because I am in front of everybody in here is a unique human being who God has created to do something great. So to be in this room and tell you this, because I was sitting in these chairs and I didn't think I was much at all. I didn't think I could do anything of what's been accomplished. And you can sit in these rooms and you got the star athlete, you got the star cheerleader, and not think that you are valuable. And I'm telling you, every one of you all are. And you have to be the biggest cheerleader of yourself. Because you may not always have people that are cheering you, but you should always have you cheering you. Even if I didn't do it well, I stumble with a word, I say, it's okay, Aeneas, you just say it better this time. Your greatest friend needs to be you. And then after that, have great friends. But be a great friend of yourself.
Yeah, that positive self-talk can go a long way in the confidence that you have. Great question, Olivia.
Great job.
Let's get another student up there with another question here for Aeneas.
My name is Cheyenne, and I go to Coventry Middle School. My question is, who was your favorite teammate in college and the NFL?
Wow. Can everybody say hello, Cheyenne? So that's my youngest daughter name. I can remember that one. The greatest teammate, and I played with a lot of great ones, was in college. And we buried him 2 weeks ago. His name is Sean Wallace. And he's the best I've ever played with at any level. Another thing I say to you guys, sometimes school, high school, junior high, it's going to be over. But I'm asking you to respect each other. I'm asking you to not bully each other. And I'm asking each of you all, people are different. And their makeup, their formative years cause them to become the people that they are. But Sean Wallace, these tears come because if I was hanging from a rope,
hanging from a cliff, and I needed somebody to hold a rope to keep me from going over the cliff. Sean Wallace would have been one of the guys I would have trusted to hold the rope. And if you find one or two people in your life that you believe will hold the rope during your bad days, you'll find yourself most fortunate. But sorry for the tears, guys.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We appreciate the vulnerability. Appreciate you telling these young people, myself, about Sean Wallace and carrying on his legacy. You went to Southern, and you said you didn't join the team until your junior year, correct? Southern's an HBCU. Can you kind of let our students know what is an HBCU? Why was Aeneas Williams at Southern University in HBCU?
Yeah, maybe a background. You may hear about HBCUs, historical black colleges, universities. I want you to think of HBCUs as schools that were established, land grants. The government gave these institutions the land by which they now reside. These schools were highly effective and important, particularly to people of color, because they could not go to the major universities because of discrimination. And some may say, why do we need these schools today? We need them today because there's still discrimination, not as much, but there still is. But a lot of these schools also, my dad's the first college graduate on both sides of the family, by the way, and he attended Southern University, and he changed the trajectory of our entire family from an education standpoint in one generation. And that's the other thing I want to encourage you guys. As I said, I don't know your family dynamics, but I do know in this country, and there's still opportunity today for you to be able to change your family's history in one generation. So now, because of my dad's decision, we have doctorates in the house. My oldest brother's a master plumber. My middle brother is a CPA. I have a degree in accounting. Just changed the trajectory of our family. But that's the history of HBCUs, and that's why they still need to continue to exist. Because sometimes when kids coming from certain communities and they go into environments that are so different from what they grew up in, it can be challenging from an education standpoint. But they're amazing schools, and people have impacted the world. I'm talking about internationally from many of the HBCUs. And I don't know, it's close to a third of the Hall of Famers that are from historical black colleges and universities.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to our next student question back there. Again, your name and what school you go to, and then follow up with your question.
All right. Hi, Aeneas. My name is Sean Taylor. I go to Coventry Middle School. And my question is, what excites you the most about the future of the NFL, and what is one thing you'd like to see changed?
Can everybody say hello to Sean? All right, so what's my exciting about the National Football League? The first thing is...
Do you still watch the games?
Oh, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So there are a couple of things. One, I'm so excited about the current players. I played a part in the evolution of the game, the changing of the rules, protecting defenseless players, and also not being able to hit the quarterbacks and take them out the game. Because the quarterbacks are very important. If you don't have great quarterbacking, you're no longer playing football, you're playing rugby. And what gets me excited about the changes in the game, or some of the changes in the game, it is because of the growing popularity of the game. Last year, the NFL played their first game in Brazil. And the game continues to expand internationally. And I think other countries need to be introduced to this amazing game. And I don't know if you guys know, but professional football, or football, started in the Ivy League schools. It was never just a brute hit each other. It's actually a chess game. And a lot of people, because of the physicality of the game, they don't realize it's really analytical. It is a test. Can you execute max execution while you're nervous? When Randy Moss is 6'4", 220, and Aeneas is 5'10 and a half, 190 pounds. Those physical dynamics just naturally don't equate. But when you're able to study Randy Moss and you're able to study his flaws and find out ways you can take advantage of, that's what happens when you study. So what I love about the game, it is the growth of the game and how much it's changing, and that the NFL doesn't wait to change things that need to be changed. They change it. Anybody know what rule changes a lot of teams are trying to get changed this offseason? Anybody know? Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, what do we call it? The tush push. You know why all the teams want to change it, right? Because they can't stop it.
Can't stop it.
And they haven't figured out how to do it. So they may end up changing it, which will take away from Philadelphia a huge advantage. Great question. Thank you, Sean.
Let's get another student up there for another question here for Aeneas.
This mic ain't even on.
Hi, Aeneas. My name is Justin Fath, and I go to Coventry Middle School. And my question is, what was your welcome to the NFL moment?
Can everybody say hello to Justin? Wow, great question. All right. My rookie year, I was voted Defensive Player of the Year, my rookie year, and I was a third-round draft pick by the Phoenix Cardinals, they were called at that time, fourth player taken in the third round. My wake-up moment was my second year, because after you have this great rookie year, you think you something, right? And then I played against a guy by the name of Fred Barnett, which very few players, even guys that played, would remember this guy's name. And one thing to remember in the NFL is not just all pro guys and the Pro Bowl guys that can make you look foolish. It's anybody, because they're all professionals. So Sunday night game, we were playing against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Fred Barnett caught 2 touchdowns over me, over 50 yards. The second touchdown he caught over me, I caught up with him from behind. In the last 5 yards, he grabbed my face mask and dragged me in the end zone. So that was my wake-up moment, that every week I had to be prepared regardless of who I was playing. And I learned a valuable lesson to not ever underestimate your opponent. And that was my eye-opening moment. Great question, Justin.
Let's get another student up there for another question here for Aeneas.
Hello, my name is Treasure Overby. I'm from Shaw High School, and I wanted to know, how did your childhood shape who you are today?
Oh, wow. Give us the name again.
Treasure Overby.
Treasure. Can everybody say hello to Treasure? Yeah. How did my formative years shape? Is that the wording?
Yeah, your childhood.
Your childhood.
My childhood. Wow. I had an amazing childhood. I never had to look outside my house for a role model. My dad and mom, my 2 older brothers. My middle brother, Achilles, get that. So my dad, by the way, my dad read Greek mythology while in college. That's where we get our names from. And so I looked up to my older brother, Malcolm, and my older brother, Achilles, and all I did was just follow them. And that's another thing, another principle. If you want to be a great leader, become a great follower. If you want to become a great leader, become a great follower. I was a great follower for a long time. And then when I finally got up with the kids my age, I became a leader. And I was only a good leader because I was a great follower. Great question, Treasure.
So I want to follow up there. You said you never had to look outside of your household. You were blessed with a great family, you know, some brothers to look up to. What do you tell a student who maybe doesn't have that same blessing? You know, they're struggling to find who they can look up to. Where should they go? Who should they look for?
One, I tell you that someone to look up to is right around you. I promise you that. It doesn't always have to be from a traditional setting, from a family. It could be in college. A guy named Charles was outstanding at accounting, so I looked up to Charles, even though he was the same age as I was. He actually taught me how to pass the accounting exam, which was huge. Another guy by the name of Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas was a teammate of mine, 1 year younger than me. Brian was 6'3", and he's one of the fastest human beings, even to this day, that I've ever been around. And believe it or not, I was very slow in college. As a matter of fact, I was a good player, but my coach in college that allowed me to walk on, he says, Aeneas Williams is a great player, but I don't think he'll ever play in the pros, in the NFL, because at best he runs a 4.6 40. So what I did, Nathan, was I went to Brian, who was a wide receiver, and I was a cornerback. Brian ran a 4.2 40. And if you don't know what a 4.2 40 is, that's very unusual, and that means you're one of the fastest that's ever run on this earth. I went to Brian, even though Brian was younger, and I went to Brian and I said, hey, Brian, can you help me get faster? And remember now, he's younger, totally different from me, and Brian wasn't necessarily an academic guy. But I went to Brian. Anybody can tell me why I went to Brian? Because Brian was what? Fast, right? I didn't go to the slow guys. I went to Brian. And here's what I learned about the power of belief. Brian looks at me like I look at you, and he looks me in the eye, shakes my hand. He says, Aeneas, you can run a 4.3 40. Now, all my life, I've been taught either you got speed or you can't. I was running a 4.6. Now I have a guy who's younger than me, even though he's fast, he's telling me with all confidence, I can run a 4.3 40. And you know the crazy thing? I believed him. I said, what do I do, Brian? He says, come walk on the team. Now, this is my senior year while in graduate school. I played 3 years of college football. He says, come walk on the track team, get next to me, and do everything I do. This was January of the spring semester. April, we're talking about 3 months, I clocked for all the scouts a 4.3 40. That's the power of finding credible success for others who've done well what you're trying to do. Their belief is contagious, and I'll never forget Brian Thomas in my life. Thank you.
That's an amazing story, and it shows the humility to go ask someone that's younger than you.
Yes.
Oftentimes people would overlook, say, I know enough, can't learn anything from someone younger than me.
Whenever I talk to Nathan, whenever I talk to older players, particularly ones I've called, and I encourage young players to do it. You know what older people or older players always say? The young people don't reach out to me. So don't be afraid to reach out. I like to say it like this. People that are older, when you're younger, you can see down the block. But older people can see around the corner. You need somebody in your life at a young age to tell you what's around the corner, because you're just down the street. And I encourage you to do that. Yeah.
And it's not a sign of weakness if you have to go ask for help.
Correct, yeah.
You know, it's not a sign of weakness, so if you need it, go ask for it. Let's go to another student here for our next question.
Hi, my name's Ashira Cross, and I go to Shaw High School. My question is, which Hall of Fame value do you find most important and why?
Was that Lashir?
Ashira.
Ashira. Everybody say hello to Ashira. Which Hall of Fame value?
Commitment, integrity.
Oh, no, I got it.
Okay.
I got it.
My apologies.
Yeah, I got it. I would say one of the values that serve me the most would be commitment. Now I got a question for you guys. When you're eating, anybody like bacon and eggs for breakfast? Anybody? All right, yeah, all right.
Most of the room, it looks like.
So I have a question for you. Who was committed to your breakfast, the pig or the chicken? Some people say both. Remember now, I said, who likes bacon and eggs? And then I ask you, who was committed to your breakfast, the chicken or the pig? Why the pig? The pig is dead. The chicken's still alive. When you're committed to something, and that's what I did, when I found my passion, and I want to encourage all of you all, find your passion. My parents didn't talk me into playing football my junior year and walking on the team. I gave my life to Jesus Christ, and I said, God, if you're real, show me how you relate to us in everyday life. And he taught me two things immediately, and number one was purpose. Find your passion. Find your passion. Find the thing that you love gravitating to. And the second thing I found, he taught me, God speaks to your heart. So get this. I walk on the football team a week before the season starts. My teammates had already, Nathan, been practicing 5 weeks or two-a-days. They hated me.
You missed all that hard work.
I missed all that hard work. And just so happened, I use these quotations because it's not, it just so happened. When you find your purpose. The position I was going out for, the coach was trying to replace the guy. So I ended up starting by the 5th game. So when it comes down to that character, it's commitment. Because only what you're willing to die for will you be successful at. Great question. Thank you.
Let's go back there for another student. I know we got a couple more, so we want to try to get to all our students. Go ahead, step up to the mic, name and school, and then your question for Aeneas.
My name is Jeremiah Fatch. I go to Malvern High School, and my question is, how did your success change the relationships that you had?
Jeremiah?
Yes, sir.
Can everybody say hello to Jeremiah? That's a great question. How did the success change the people around me?
The relationships.
The relationships.
Had, yeah.
Wow. That's a great question. A lot of times it's not the person who had the success that changes, the people change around you. How did it change? It changed because when you're quote unquote a star, people like to always talk about you. So you get around them or you go to the party, it's like, oh man, Aeneas is here and stuff like that. So one of the things that I've chosen to do with my friends or relatives is to constantly celebrate them. So when people are asking me about what I did and excited about what I did, I always shift it back to them. And whenever I'm talking to people, even if I was talking to you, I'm going to be all there and not trying to work the room or something like that. So to answer that question, I decided to understand the dynamics, because friends told me when you are successful, how people can change or relationships change. I decided to be intentional, and that is to celebrate every person that's around me and just flip the script when they're talking about me. I get talked about all the time in a good way. So one of the things I had to do is, I've been married, my wife and I, we just celebrated 32 years. Yeah, come on, shout out, right? Yeah. So that's my girl Tracy, and we have 3 amazing daughters and a son, Lazarus. And you can imagine when people see you out and your wife is there, well, they just see you. It's like they don't see your wife. So I had to learn, and my wife taught me this, I had to learn that when people come and they say, hey man, Aeneas, I remember you had this play, and I saw this game, and I remember this, and they talk to you like your wife is not standing there, right? So I always have to say, hey, this is my wife, Tracy. I would like you to meet her. And same thing with my children. So that's how I was able to manage the relationship much better, where we become more comfortable, because I'm not comfortable with people talking about me all the time. I prefer to talk about them. Great question, Jeremiah.
I think we got one more student question here. We're going to go back there and get our final question from our audience for you there, Aeneas.
Hi, I am a teacher, so I had stood in the back, but my name is Lisa Longino. I'm a proud graduate of Texas Southern University. My question is, I'm from the East Cleveland City School District, and I brought my girls' flag football team. And I wanted you to express, what does teamwork teach them when they're playing? What does football teach them as far as teamwork, as far as honesty and integrity?
Would everybody say hello to Miss Lisa, please? Yeah. So first, I work with the football operations department. I do work with them and have done work with at the league office. And the person that's over the executive over football operation, a guy by the name of Troy Vinson, who played with me. And I'm saying this to say, Lisa, because there is a push to really spread flag football among our young ladies. And matter of fact, I'm almost sure the Olympics in Los Angeles, we're going to have flag football. In terms of teamwork, all you need to know is, in football, you guys know guys from all over the country. We got country guys coming out of Nebraska. We got city boys coming out of New Orleans and all these other places. Team, and it is really a nation, and one of the things I want to challenge your generation is to continue to be united together even though you're different. Because, and forgive me for my national shout out, we've sometimes been so divided in our country, but your generation seems to do a very good job of connecting with one another, regardless of age or race and all those things. But teamwork is what I would call a divider repeller. Did I say that well? Like, people is big on division. So if you got teammates, if your opponent could, what they want to do is get you not to trust your teammate, right? Or if you're in a family, they want distrust to be in the family. But on a team, if you have the right perspective, it will eradicate division. Because Martin Anderson, you said was here what, last?
I think it was last week, yeah.
Recently. So Martin Anderson, if you guys don't know, he's a Hall of Fame place kicker. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the NFL, the place kickers and the punters, they're not in all these meetings. Defense, offense, special teams, we're in meetings all day. We're actually in more meetings. And for all you athletes, you think, hey man, I want to get to the pros so I can get out of the classroom. In the pros, we're in the classroom more than we're on the field. And here's the crazy thing, going back to teamwork. The punters don't have to be in all these meetings. And when I played with the Rams, the kickers would be in a game room when we were in meetings. And when we got ready, we got out the meetings, we had to pass their room to go to the restroom to go back to the meetings. So we'd look in that room and see those punters, they laughing and they playing games. And we like, man, we mad. Y'all know what I learned? I don't care what the kickers do while we're in the meetings. All I care is when the game's on the line, make that field goal. And that's what you learn about teamwork. Everybody does not have to do the same thing. You just need them to do their job. And that's one of the powerful values. I encourage everyone to play some type of sport because it helps you understand that we all are dependent on one another. And as great as Peyton Manning is, as great as Brett Favre, or any of these quarterbacks, none of them got here without an offensive line. Yep. They needed help. So great question, Miss Lisa.
Yeah, we had some great questions from our students, and our audience today. So I just want to thank you guys for being so engaged with the program. You know, Aeneas, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule while you're here in Canton to, you know, come pour into these young people. We really, really do appreciate that.
Nathan, I have a question.
Oh boy, go for it.
I have a question for you guys, and you can raise your hand and share it. What do we older adults, what would you like us to know about you? What do we need to know? Where do we sometimes miss it? Anyone?
What do adults and teachers need to know about this generation, this group of students?
You go.
No school.
They don't want to go to school.
No. Oh,
No
you
school.
want them to know that you don't want to go to school? Okay. I think they may know, but they know more that school is real good for you. Yeah, I appreciate you
Let's see
sharing
if we
that.
got one over here.
Yes. Real quick, we have one over here. I'll repeat it right here. What you got? By the way, a partnership with Centene Corporation, which headquarters is in St. Louis area, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Me and a number of other Hall of Famers travel the country talking to middle schoolers and high schoolers. And that's one of the things we found out is that you guys wanted us to listen more. Is that correct? And we didn't do a great job because if you guys don't let us know, all we want to do is kind of share what we think was successful for us. But you guys are in a totally different generation. You have totally different obstacles. So what I want to encourage you is to help your parents and your older generation just politely asking them, hey, would you just listen to me for a second? Because sometimes we may look like we're listening, but we're not listening. Mm-hmm. You'll be able to detect it. So just respectfully, just tap us and say, hey, just hear me out for a second. And that little nudge will help us kind of kick back into really hearing what you're saying. Because we need to hear what you're saying. As I said, we didn't have all these phones growing up. We didn't have access to the world when we were your age. I can't even imagine what it's like to have to experience that. So anyone else?
We got one more over here.
So you said, what did like the younger, like our generation, like want yours to know? Yeah. I think it's that everybody's like a product of their environment. So like people our age or like young people, we may like do things differently or like see things a different way, but it's because of like the environment that we're like growing up in. Like an example, like my dad and I were debating LeBron and Jordan the other day, and he tried to tell me that LeBron would have been like soft or whatever, and I'm like, that's cap, because like they're a product of the environment that they're like in. So Jordan's gonna play different because of the era he was in, and LeBron is obviously gonna play different because of like the era he's in. And I mean, he's better anyways, but like, you know, you get the point.
I like that. That was good.
That is an excellent point. And the truth is, just as you said, and if people just take the time to think from a common sense standpoint, whatever generation you're in, you're able to have the best resources to help you become better from a prior generation. I think we know it from a discussion standpoint. It's just good banter, and it's just good to challenge the younger generation to just see how passionate you are about sticking to your guns as well. So I'll say to you right now, I think it was Jordan, but much respect to LeBron. All right, great, yeah. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Well, let's end on this. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you. All right, I'm going to challenge you. If you got 30 seconds, they're going to only remember one thing this morning, Aeneas, and you want them to remember this nugget, this piece. What's that one thing you want everyone to walk out of the room and remember from today?
Find your passion. Find your passion. Find your passion. Find your passion. It's not how long you live. It's have you ever lived? It's not how long you live, whether you get to 70, 80 years old. It's have you ever lived? And until you find your passion, until you find, I have a degree in accounting, I don't like numbers. I was following my brother Achilles, whose passion is numbers. He's a CPA, he has his own firm. I love communicating effectively, complex information to help it to be well understood by people. I found my passion. So my wife and I, we love to share the gospel every Sunday with a congregation.
Yeah.
It's our passion. And when you find your passion, you will carry your own motivation. Because no one will have to try to get you to do something. I'd work out 5 o'clock in the morning. Not because I necessarily felt like it, but my passion say, get up, let's go.
Yeah.
And every one of you have an area. You just got to take the time alone and think about what you really like versus what the crowd like. Find your passion.
Appreciate you ending on that. Hey, guys, with that, let's give another big round of applause for Aeneas Williams.
And can we give yourselves a round of applause?
Give our students a round of applause. All right. Well, guys, thank you again for being here today. Thanks for being a part of the program. Hopefully, we'll see you guys at our next Heart of a Hall of Famer, connected by Extreme Networks. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.